So today's topic is how I met my Dominican wife. Now, my wife and I did a video together about this topic over on her channel. However, I do understand that some people are new to the channel and may not even know my wife has a YouTube channel. So therefore, they may not have seen the video. So I decided, why not discuss this again for the people who don't know. Not only that, I've had people in the comment section ask me, how did I meet my Dominican wife? And besides that, what else inspired me to make this video was I read a comment under that particular video that me and my wife did. It was interesting to say the least. I'm gonna put that comment up so you guys can check it out. So he says, Jay's a boss. I'm gonna call you Jay-Z from now on. I thought you were a simp passport bro before knowing your story. My fault, bro. Salute. Now, I really thought that was pretty interesting. It wasn't surprising, but it was pretty interesting. What I'll say about this comment here is that I can respect the fact that he was man enough to admit he got it wrong. And then not only that, to push it a little further, he was man enough to apologize for getting it wrong. So I can respect that, and same thing to him, salute. But I will also say this, those type of comments are pretty typical in my life story, where people always assume certain things about me for whatever reason. Well, let me not say for whatever reason. I know why they assume the things that they assume about me. I'm not gonna get into it. You can probably guess. To me, it's obvious. So I'll give you an example. The last video I did where I talked about my entrepreneur journey, me being, in the music business, starting a record label, also have my own magazine and meeting all these different artists, surprised a lot of people. In the comments, I saw people say, I would have never thought that. And a lot of this preconceived notion and assumptions and prejudgment about me is not based in any facts. It's all about the first impression about what they see. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll let your imagination go to work. So how did I meet my Dominican wife? I met my wife in Alabama. Yes, I met my wife while I was working in Alabama. So allow me to give you a quick story on how she ended up in Alabama, because a lot of people will always ask her, man, what made you go to Alabama? All Dominicans go to New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Jersey, all over there on the East Coast. How in the world did you end up in Alabama? So, and before we get started, let me mention that my wife's name is Naberis. I always assume that people know my wife because they know me. And I got to realize that that's not always the case, because a lot of people who know me came from my wife's channel. So my wife is Naberis. Her channel is Naberis Art. Guys, go check it out. She gives a lot of information on Dominican Republic, living here in Dominican Republic, so go check her out. So let's get back to the story. This was back in 2007. I was working at a company in Alabama, and I worked in human resources. One of my job functions were to oversee the temporary labor workforce. So when we had temporary openings, my job was making sure that those positions were filled by temporary workers. During this time, we had a lot of temporary workers, and most of them, 90% of them, were from Central America, mainly Mexico and Guatemala. How can I say this? They all wasn't on the up and up, if you get what I'm saying, in terms of working. So we had to get rid of them. So when we got rid of them, we had to figure out a way to bring in people who were on the up and up and could work in the country. So one of the ideas that we came up with after speaking to some immigration lawyers were this program called H-2B visa. And how this program worked was you could hire foreigners to come to the United States and work legally. But you just had to show that Americans didn't want to do the job. So anyway, we went through that process, and we were able to show that, hey, we can't find any Americans that want to do this type of work. So they issued us a visa, and we got visas to hire from Dominican Republic, of course, Jamaica, Colombia, Brazil, China, Peru, and some other places. I can't even remember, but some other places, but mainly Dominican Republic. So in the summer of 2007, I was actually in Fort Worth, Texas, working over there because we had started a facility over there. And at that time, I had been living in Fort Worth for maybe about 5 months. And I was this close to accepting a position to actually staying in Fort Worth because I liked it so much. Thank God I didn't. So in October 2007 was the first group of H-2B visa workers that came to Alabama. And again, I was still working in Texas at the time. So my boss was like, hey, James, we got a lot of people coming in. If you're gonna stay in Texas, let me know. I need to replace you. If not, I need you back here in Huntsville so we can go ahead and get the ball rolling. So I said, you know what, I'm headed back. So I headed back. I got back sometime in November. So my wife was in that first group that had came in October. And by the time I got back, she had already been there for maybe about 2 weeks, because it came around the end of October. And I got back somewhere around the beginning of November. And I remember walking out on the floor one day, and it was a group of Dominicans. I'm from Alabama. The only people I ever saw talking Spanish were the Mexicans and the Guatemalans that were speaking Spanish at the time. So I saw this group of Dominicans who, they looked like me. They were all speaking Spanish, and I was like, wow, I can't remember when I ever seen that before. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember. Maybe I seen it on the movie, I don't know, but it was new to me. And I remember my wife having on this red jogging suit. And it used to fit her so good, man. I'm talking about groceries, man, just straight groceries. I'm in HR. I don't have any business messing with the hired help, so calm down. So the group of women that Naberius was living with, they all worked the night shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, except for one. There's only one girl worked the day shift. So I would always see her and I would always talk to her. And I remember one day asking her who was her friend. They said, oh, that's Naberius. She said, you want to talk to her? I said, no, I'm good. I don't want to talk to her. I rarely seen Naberius. The only time I see her is maybe in the morning as she was leaving, because I would come in around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And so, long story short, one day I had to stay over for training. So when I walked outside my office, there her friend was standing by the time clock. And I asked, I said, why are you still at work? It was almost 7 o'clock at this time. And her shift ended at 6 p.m. She said, oh, I don't have a ride to get home. The bus left me, because we had arranged transportation to get these people back and forth because we knew they didn't have cars. So I was like, you need me to take you home? And she was like, yeah, you can take me home. So anyway, I take her home. When I get to the house, she said, oh, you want to come in? I was like, no, I ain't going in there. She said, Naberius in there? I said, that's more of a reason why I don't want to go in there. I said, no, I don't want to go in there. And at the time, another one of their roommates was talking to a guy that worked in the company too. His name was Michael. And she was like, Michael in there? You want to go and talk to Mike? And me and Michael were friends. And so I like, yeah, all right, I'll go and talk to Michael. So I went in. When I first got in there, Michael was sitting there with the girl that he was talking to, and so they told him, hey, go ahead, sit down. We finna eat, and I was like, no, I don't want nothing to eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing to eat. And then after that, Naberius comes. She didn't even know I was there. She walks out the back of the kitchen area and sees me. She has this mouthful of food, and she just starts to smile. And I looked at her, and I ain't gonna lie, I smiled too, you know what I'm saying? And that was pretty much it, man. And prior to that, when I saw her and her friends, I would never speak to her except that one girl. But after that, from that point on, in that awkward introduction, every time I saw Naberius, not every time, but when I did see her at work, I would speak to her, say hi, something like that, maybe have a brief conversation. And that's typically how we just kind of start talking and being friends, but there was no relationship at that time. So at the time, their visa was only about 7 or 8 months. So she got there in October. So around May, it was time for her to either go back to Dominican Republic or get an extension. So we were able to get them extensions for 7 to 8 months so she didn't have to go back. So after they got their extensions, most of the women that she was living with at the time dipped. They all ran to New York, New Jersey, Boston, because they all had family over there. So they all ran over there, and even Philadelphia. And the fun thing, one of her friends was trying to get her to go to Philadelphia, and I'm like, nah, we ain't about to do that. Nah, this one ain't going with y'all. Y'all can go wherever y'all want to go, but this one here, staying right here in Alabama. So anyway, she ended up staying. I guess I was convincing enough for her to stay. And after her visa expired, the second time, we got it extended again. And so she continued to stay, and the rest is history. And so that is how I met my Dominican wife. So guys, no, I didn't meet her in Puerto Plata. No, I didn't meet her in Sosúa. No, I didn't meet her in Punta Cana. No, I didn't meet her in Boca Chica. No, I didn't meet her in Zona Colonial. And no, I didn't meet her in the Dominican Republic, period. I met my wife in Alabama. And that's the real story on how I met my Dominican wife. I had no clue about Dominican Republic before I met her. So no, I am not a passport bro. So until then, remember, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're gonna live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.
You both got my best life, yeah. You both got my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. You both got my best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing, I know.